Nepal was in the process of reunification. After Prithvi Narayan Shah, his younger son Bahadur Shah continued the reunification. Warriors like Bhakti Tapa, Amar Singh Tapa, Balabhadra Kunwar contributed to it. Under the collective leadership of Bhakti, Amar Singh and Balabhadra, the border of Nepal reached beyond the Sutlej River to Kangda in the west. King Sansar Chand of Kangda hid in the man-made fort of Kangda to save his life. Kangda Fort is one of the most impregnable forts I have seen so far. The Gorkhalis could not penetrate it. Sansar Chand, who had been hiding in the fort for a long time, disguised himself as a farmer and reached the shelter of Punjab Kesari Ranjit Singh, subduing the Gorkhali. Then there was a battle between the Gorkha forces against the combined forces of Sansar Chand and Ranjit Singh, in which the Gorkhalis lost. After this decisive battle, the Gorkhalis could not go beyond the Sutlej. Their country's reunification work ended here in the west. At the same time, Nepal's border disputes with the British in Terai area started. The British who came to trade from Britain colonized India. The British established the East India Company to administer the government there. As the border dispute with Nepal increased, small battles against the British started taking place. The East India Company wanted to do business in Tibet. However, Nepal covered Tibet from Tista in the east to Kangra in the west. In order for them to enter Tibet, it became necessary to take possession of Nepali territory. Therefore, the East India Company announced a decisive battle against Nepal to make Nepal a colony like India. The British started their attack against Nepal from November 1, 1814. There was a battle between Nepal and British in 5 forts, 2 west of Mahakali and 3 east of Mahakali. East of Mahakali, Nepal kept itself adamant, the British could not penetrate. The battle to the west is fought by Nepal. An influential military commander of Nepal called Bam Shah surrendered suspiciously during the war in the west. Amar Singh Tapa, the Nepalese commander in Kemol, became desperate after receiving this news. The Nepali side made a proposal to the British to suspend the war immediately. British general was Akhtar Lani. After negotiations, an agreement was reached between Amar Singh Tapa and Akhtar Lani on May 15, 1815. Nepal lost the area from Mahakali to Sutlej from that agreement. On the other hand, towards the east, Nepal had reached Nagarkata, 70 kilometers east of Tista River. Nepal had already made 3/4 of Sikkim its own. The British promised to return the lost part of Sikkim to the king of Sikkim if he helped him in the war against Nepal. On the other hand, with the Nawab of the state called Awad on the Nepalganj side, they borrowed 2 or 3 crores of Indian currency, some books say 2 and 3 crores written in others, to fight the war. After winning the war against Nepal, there was an agreement that Britain would give the land to Awad for that amount. Britain was not satisfied with the general level agreement between Amar Singh and Akhtar Lani. They wanted more from Nepal, which had lost the war. Therefore, on December 2, 1815, Britain sent a proposal for a new treaty to Nepal. It would have been fair if the treaty was made on the basis of the agreement between Amar Singh and Akhtar Lani, because Nepal lost the war only in the west and not in the east. However, Britain claimed the entire Terai from Tista in the east to Mahakali in the west. The English phrase mentioned in the treaty is, the King of Nepal cedes the whole lowland between Mechi and Tista, Koshi and Gandak, Gandak and Rapti, Rapti and Kali. It was said that the King of Nepal should sign the treaty sent by Britain within 15 days. However, after the loss of such a large land, there was a dispute within the palace of Nepal. Some inside the palace said to sign and some said not to. The then King of Nepal, Gurwanyuta Bikram Shah, was small and the Bhimsen Thapa was the powerful Prime Minister. The British period passed in confusion. Britain became suspicious when Nepal did not sign the treaty. With the conclusion that Nepal wanted to fight another battle, he started attacking again from the Makwanpur side. In that battle, the Nepalese lost. When the British went ahead with the plan to reach Kathmandu, the rulers of Nepal hesitated and finally were forced to sign the treaty sent by Britain. Nepal signed it on its behalf and sent it along with the Nepalese ambassador to the East India Company government, Chandrasekhar Upadhyay. Chandrasekhar Upadhyay took the treaty to Makwanpur camp and submitted it to the British. The treaty signed by Nepal and submitted to Britain on March 4, 1816, on the 93rd day after Britain sent it to Nepal is the Sugauli Treaty. A copy of the Sugauli Treaty has not yet been found. Even if there is a case in the court, the government of Nepal could not provide it. The signature of the king or the prime minister on behalf of Nepal is not seen in the Sugauli Treaty. The Sugauli Treaty seen outside has only the signatures of Chandrasekhar and Gujraj Mishra. However, this does not mean that the legality of the treaty cannot be questioned. When Nepal became a member of the United Nations, it was based on this Sugauli Treaty to identify itself as an independent country. At that time, Russia and Ukraine said that Nepal should not be given membership as a protectorate of India. Then the United Nations sent a letter to Nepal asking it to prove that it is an independent country. In response, Nepal sent a copy of the Sugauli Treaty stating that there was a war against the British and that Nepal and Britain ended the war by making a treaty as an independent nation without the involvement of a third party. In some places of Sugauli Treaty it is written as British government and in some places it is written as East India Company. However, we should understand this as an agreement with the British government, because the East India Company is a company created by the British government under an act. Therefore, there is no doubt that the British government should be responsible for this treaty. The Sugauli Treaty can be considered as a tragic incident that still hurts Nepal. The forced Sugauli Treaty cut off the head of Nepal in the east and cut it to the knees in the west.